Hey, it's Daphne here with more, from the driver's seat, I guess, here today. Today I've really been thinking about this a lot at the beginning of the new year, and I'm doing some of the podcast on it, but I was thinking about goals, and I have some really great goals. As a matter of fact, this is the first time that I'm going to announce that I am writing a book this year. If you're not subscribed to my newsletter, you don't know about that, but those people who are subscribed to my newsletter, I just revealed it in last week's newsletter. I think it was last week. And it's been obviously something that's in the making, right? It's like something I've thought about. It's not like it just arose. I just think I'll write a book this year, which I think is how, first of all, I think goals come to a lot of us. I think that we at first have an idea in our mind, and it sort of incubates for a little while, and then we decide that we want to take it on. And I cannot even begin to tell you the amount of fear that really arises. It rose for me in that moment, even just saying it now, although I feel a little bit more comfortable saying it now in the video, that's what I'm going to be up to this year. One of the things I'm really putting my attention on, one of my big banner goals, if you will, for the year. And I feel comfortable sharing that. And there was that moment of fear, right? And I looked at what was that about. I mean, there's obviously a lot of excitement about it, but what it's really coming up around fear around these goals. And this is what happens for most of us. Now, I want to tell you there's all these different flavors of fear. But what I've really learned about working with fear and working through fear is that at the root of it, right there, right at the foundation of it is doubt. It's like the last thing to overcome is this doubt, like doubt that I can do it, doubt that it will be helpful, doubt that, who am I? Who am I to write a book? That's reserved for the writers of the world, which, by the way, before they published a book, I never even knew they existed as writers. All these sorts of crazy things that we tell ourselves, right? So I really had to sit with what was that about and look at it, look at it and see it clearly. Oh, that's what that is. But I also gotten in touch with a few other things about goals that I think are really important. And I've been talking about this, how we approach a goal, the mindfulness that we can come to from goals. And I think when we really pay attention to, a few things about these goals, that we can really learn, like, how we get ourselves off track with our goals. And here's a few of the pitfalls that I've found with goals. First of all, two of the things that goals really have in common, any goal, it doesn't matter what goal it is that you're imagining a different future. You're imagining a future for yourself. It doesn't exist, right? So a goal always, the attainment of it, or the accomplishment of it, always exists out in the future. So it's something that we're imagining. It doesn't exist right now. And the other thing is, that's really the flavor of goals, is that goals are typically around something that we want to be different than it is now, right? So there's something, I don't currently have a book written, and I want that to be different by the end of the year. I want to have written this book. So they're always in the future. And this is really where, if we're not paying attention, and we're always wanting to close this gap of what's here now and where will things be in my imagined, future sometime later. And so if we're not paying attention, what can really happen is we can fall into the propensity of doing what the mind just naturally does, which is always being out in the future. We can fall into this trap of just thinking about really getting ourselves caught up in the future. And that does a few things for us. One, it pulls us away from the present moment. Therefore, actions that we might need to take to accomplish the goal, to achieve the goal, don't even have our attention. We're not giving really our full awareness to that action, and therefore we're less effective. The second thing that can happen because we're focused in the future is we start to experience a lot more anxiety, a lot more worry. What happens if I don't, right? We're in the world of what if this doesn't happen? What if this doesn't fit together? And we start just getting ourselves all wrapped up, which, if you've paid attention to your experience when you're thinking about the future, you start to notice that you have this anxiety and worry. And then we get caught up in the doubt. The doubt will take over, doubt that we can achieve it, or doubt that we can even, by the way, handle achieving the goal. That also comes up, who are we to be this person? And the third pitfall that really starts to happen then is we lose, and I think this is really the grittiest of the three, is we can lose the appreciation and the gratitude for what's really here in our lives in the present moment. And when we get caught in that trap, then, and I think this is really what starts to happen, we lose the ability to see that, my life is actually really great whether I write a book or not. Like, I'm actually a pretty happy person whether I become an author or not. And this is what starts to happen when we look at our goal attainment from a place of, I have to have a burning platform around it. I have to have some way that I'm just going to have, if I don't do this, I'm going to suffer. And there definitely is the call for recognizing when you're in suffering that there might be the reason to make the change. But this is something that I don't feel a lot of suffering around not writing a book, for example, but I do have a sense in myself that, and I want to tell you, this is the key flip of this whole thing and reframe on the goals, that there is a new skill that I'm going to learn that I'm excited about. There are people that I'm going to meet that I'm excited about. There's something about being able to bring this book into fruition that I really hope to be helpful to people about the things that I've learned about mindfulness, about coaching, about working with leaders and organizations. It's going to be in the business book realm that I think can really support people in their life to do their work at a higher level, to do it at a deeper level, if you will. So, when I start reframing it in that way and coming to it from, oh, this isn't just about the end goal of having this book in my hand. It isn't just about the book. This is about my learning. And what we're talking about then is how we can approach life, approach our goals from real deep appreciation of gratitude, and that my life is really great as it is right now. I have nothing but appreciation and gratitude for my life right now. And it'll be really fun to write this book. I'm going to learn so much about putting this together and getting my ideas out of my head and getting them onto paper, if you will. That's going to be really exciting. So as I've really thought about my own goals for this year, I really worked through some of this and thought about, how do I approach this from a mindfulness perspective? How do I put this into a context that I think I can notice what happens when I get caught up in a goal? And I did that for a long time in my life. The root of just attainment of goals is just the root of ambition, right? Blind ambition. And we're off to the next thing. And we find that it isn't really about just the attainment of the goal that really brings us our happiness and our joy. That's already inside of us anyway, but really we get to learn new things. We get to take a skill that we do have and maybe, take it to the next level for ourselves. And that's what will really sustain us along the journey and really was what brings the richest to our lives. And lastly is involving other people that I care about, people that care about me and the goals. And I think that's really when our goals have a relatedness. When we can bring in a relatedness to our goals, it really starts to allow the rubber to hit the road. So that's some thoughts from the driver's seat. We're going to spend a little less time being driven and a little bit more time driving, which I really like to do. So I hope this is helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next week's driver's seat.